Hello, my dear students. Today we are discussing on the role of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar in Constituent Assembly for all faculties 2 credit compulsory course, and it is a content of your first chapter regarding add-on course. Dear students, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was born on 14th April 1991 in Mahu, Army Cantonment, Central Provinces, and now it is present day in Madhya Pradesh to Dalit family. His family's low caste status resulted in his early life being marked by the discrimination, segregation, and untouchability. Ambedkar's academic life was very great. He obtained BA in Economics, Political Science from Elphinstone College and MA and doctoral degree from London School of Economics and another doctoral degree from Columbia University, and as well as he completed Bar at Law and Doctor of Science also he completed from London School of Economics. So Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, who has contributed in the Indian Constitution, and its drafting process are often seen as synonymous with Ambedkar. He was often seen as the father of the Indian Constitution and is probably the most well known of all Constituent Assembly members. Dr. Ambedkar became a great figure in India's constitution making process due to the offices he held and his interventions and speeches in the assembly. He was the chairman of assembly's most crucial committee, the drafting committee, and was also a member of the important committee. A chairman of the drafting committee, he had defended the draft constitution which is prepared and therefore intervened in nearly every debate. Most of the people, they know only the role of Dr. Ambedkar, which is related to drafting committee, but role in Constituent Assembly, he played 11 roles. He played 11 roles. First, chairman of drafting committee, member committee on functions of the Constituent Assembly, member of ad hoc committee on the national flag, member subcommittee on fundamental rights, member subcommittee on minorities, member advisory committee, member union constitution committee, member subcommittee on amendment, member ad hoc committee on the Supreme Court, and member ad hoc committee on citizenship, and last is not least, member of subcommittee on minority problems affecting East Punjab and West Bengal. Dr. Ambedkar played very much roles in his life. Dr. Ambedkar was appointed as the India's first law minister also. He is still considered as the father of Indian Constitution. His contribution in the second round table conference and its federal structure committee, which was well connected with the drafting of the new constitution of India, was highly appreciated. Dr. Ambedkar is popularly known as all over the India as a chief architect of the Indian Constitution. His efforts to eradicate social ills were remarkable, and that is why he is called the Messiah of the Dalits and downtrodden in India. Times of London wrote a quotation I have given here: in the social and political life during the last period of the British Empire in India, Dr. Ambedkar's name occupied a prime position. His face reflected his courage and resoluteness, and although his intellect had no parallel in the world, he was not too proud. He could never be flashy. It is the quotation of Times of London at that time, that it has given by the Times of London. Considering the depth of his acumen and scholarship on August 29, 1947, Dr. Ambedkar was appointed the chairman of the drafting committee that was constituted by the Constituent Assembly to draft a constitution for independent India. Most of the people, they gave great remark for the Dr. Ambedkar and his contribution of constitution in the constitution. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he remarked, Dr. Ambedkar had played a most important part in the framing of India's constitution. No one took greater trouble and care over constitution making than Dr. Ambedkar. The first President of India, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, praised for the services rendered by Dr. Ambedkar in the constituting the Indian Constitution. I have carefully watched the day-to-day activities from the presidential seat. Therefore, I appreciate more than other with how much dedication and vitality this task has been carried out by the drafting committee and by its chairman Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. In particular, we never did a better thing than having Dr. Ambedkar on the drafting committee and selecting him as its chairman. Contribution making of constitution, Dr. Ambedkar, first of all, he was the member of fundamental rights also. He was the given proper justice for this post which he had enjoyed as a constitution maker. I think he was the member subcommittee on fundamental rights also. The part 3 of the Indian constitution guarantees the fundamental rights to the citizens against the state. Some of the fundamental rights contained in article 15 in bracket 2, 17, 23 and 24 are also enforceable against individuals as they are very significant rights to relating to the prohibition of discrimination of ground of religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth, etc. Dr. Ambedkar was rather more instrumental in incorporating Article 17, which provides for the abolition of untouchability, whereby untouchability is abolished and its practice in any form is forbidden. Untouchability shall be an offence punishable in the accordance with the law. Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar made an outstanding contribution in framing the Constitution of India. His efforts in enacting the Article 32 in the Constitution, which guarantees a citizen the fundamental rights to move the Supreme Court directly for enforcement of his or her fundamental rights, was noteworthy one. Socio-economic justice for the people. Dr. Ambedkar totally believed on this concept. The socio-economic justice as envisioned by the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is very well reflected in the directive principles whatever we have in the constitution, directive principles of state policy, and part 4 of the constitution, which is entitled as a directive principle of state policy, includes the right to adequate means of livelihood, right against economic exploitation, right of both sexes to equal pay for equal work, right to leisure and rest, and right to public assistance in case of unemployment, old age, sickness, and like this. Dr. Ambedkar totally believed on parliamentary democracy. According to him, the parliamentary system differs from a non-parliamentary system in as much as the former is more responsible than the latter, but they also differ as to the time and agency for assessment of their responsibility. The draft constitution in recommending the parliamentary system for executive has preferred for responsibility to more stability. He was a strong advocate of the parliamentary form of government right from the inception of the Government of India Act 1935. Protective discrimination and reservation for the people. The real contribution of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is reflected here in the protective discrimination scheme or The reservation policy of the government envisaged under some provisions of Part 3 and many part of 4th dealing with the constitutional mandate to ameliorate and condition of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, and the other backward classes, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, provisions like Articles 15.4, 16.4 and Article 30 dealing with the protection of minorities are some of the notable examples for Part 3rd and Part 11 and Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 dealing with the upliftment of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes speak clearly about the substantial and significant contribution of Dr. Ambedkar for the development of untouchables. Dr. Ambedkar, who has written a book on state and minorities, that is his state with socialism, he has advocated. Dr. Ambedkar, his economic doctrine of state socialism in the draft constitution, he proposed state ownership of agriculture with collective method of cultivation and modified from a state socialism in the field of industry, but due to strong opposition in the Constituent Assembly, he could not incorporate his scheme of state socialism under the fundamental rights as a part of the Constitution. Dr. Ambedkar's social philosophy, which is very important for the development of India, Ambedkar was par excellence a spokesman of the ignored humanity, the workers, small peasants and landless laborers. He expressed the sorrows of the untouchables and tried sincerely to channel the activities of the depressed classes. In mobilizing them, he created a sense of self-respect and pride in them. He dedicated his life to the cause of removal of untouchability and completely identified himself with the social segregated section of the Indian society. Dear students, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who have given very much contribution in the development of our country, therefore he is a great architecture of India, he is a great modern economist, he is a great creator of modern India, and whole world experts are expressed their ideas about Dr. Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar, who is a great, excellent personality in India. Dr. Ambedkar wrote many books. His writing and speeches, 24 volumes are available in Maharashtra. Government of Maharashtra has produced his whole contribution through the writing and speeches. And Dr. Ambedkar, he is a really son of India who have given great way, who have built our India, and people are now living together and integrate together. India is now a country and as a nation because of only Dr. Ambedkar contributed his contribution in the making of constitution. He architected it as well as he is a father of constitution. Without constitution of India, India is not anything. Therefore, Dr. Ambedkar and his work, which is very important for exercise, for study. So develop your ideas about Dr. Ambedkar. Thank you, my dear students. Use this video for your add-on courses, value-added courses. Role of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in Constitution making. What is his contribution in the Constitution? So many questions we will ask in the examination. Please keep in your mind this video and listen carefully it. Listen on PPT, whatever I have prepared notes. Through it, you will develop your ideas about Constitution. I have no doubt here. Thanking you once again. Thank